Srinivas, you also mentor entrepreneurs, correct?
That's right.
Yeah. So while mentoring, did you happen to notice this fact that somewhere our management education is falling short in terms of in terms of equipping our entrepreneurs with managerial skills in terms of conscious leadership. What I mean to say is whether it is just social entrepreneurs or even the business ecosystem per se, the
Right.
peaceful education today, do you feel that it is falling short in terms of educating our youth towards more conscious decision making in terms of business, or do you still feel it, do you also feel that b school education is still focused on the old ways of doing business, that profit, profit, profit? Because as the years are passing, rolling by, companies have started broadening their vision towards also thinking about the society, thinking about the environment, thinking about sustainability,
Right.
and how their products, their solutions, their services are adding value to the society around them. So do
Right.
you think somewhere the education today lacks that?
So let me put it this way: it's not about what the education lacks. Uh, it's more about the the field and the space that an entrepreneur is working in, and second is the kind of challenge they're working on. So uh, broadly, you could have an entrepreneur who's coming from urban centers, people like you and me, or it could be a person who's coming from that community or from that economic background. Now, if I took folks who are like us, right, urban, uh, prestigious B school, a lot of you know they're no different from us. The challenge then is they make a technology or they make a pretty interesting innovation. Now they've got to help that model succeed in a market in amongst people that they don't know. So what's then important is whether the entrepreneur, the innovator, has really strong consumer insights. Yeah, and this once they got a strong consumer insight, that's got to translate into traction with consumers. Consumer here is a farmer. Yeah, so which then leads you to the question on how are they going about building awareness. Yeah,
Correct.
and building awareness in a market like India, which is so uh, diverse and so widespread, is the challenge. Yeah, so you could have the best, most fabulous innovation, which is doing a lot of saving or improving productivity or improving access to knowledge and markets. But if you're not able to reach your customer, the farmer here, it's difficult. So that's the first thing as far as the innovators who are like us are concerned. The second piece I think is equally important, and often it's the second piece which people confuse with agribusiness, which is that there's a lot of innovators who come from a very technical background or who come from communities and backgrounds which are similar to the kind of which are the problems they're solving. In this case, often they are highly technically qualified because they've either lived through the problem and because of those problems they've been inspired to study in those areas. Yeah, uh, and this then implies that their business acumen is not so strong. So they'll be technically very sound. They're very connected to the local markets and the community, but then they're not able to make this into a strong business offering. They're not able to convince an investor. Uh, and unfortunately, today in this country, we still look at uh, uh, education qualifications and the kind of business school you went to, your grasp over English language as surrogates for investability. Yeah. So on one side you have folks like us who are trying to figure out market access. On the other side you have folks who are technically pretty sound but trying to learn business capabilities. So each have their strengths, and a business school today just cannot answer it. But what's going to help is support in the form of mentoring, support in the form of more technical assistance, which is tailored, which is sort of bespoke for the entrepreneur. So if there is an entrepreneur who is uh, comes from a sort of rural background, is not so strong in English, he would definitely help in would could do with some help in say marketing, brand development, even social media, or even help in fundraising. But if there's a person coming from say Bangalore trying to crack market somewhere in say Jharkhand, it'll help if you're able to connect with local organizations, help them get access to markets, interpret social, the customs and so on. So that's the kind of thing an incubator like a Wilgrow is able to sort of figure out. And you do that matchmaking, you figure out what that company needs, and plug that in and help the entrepreneur succeed. Yeah?
Perfect.
There's
Yeah.
no way a business school is going to be able to teach that, because often a business school is a cookie cutter model.
Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. So just moving further, Srinivas, can you tell us more about the pheromone-based pesticide that you worked upon?
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting thing. Uh, I was pretty, I used to work with Mahindra, working in the then CEO Pawan Goenka's office on strategy and business development, and I'd been thinking about getting into the entrepreneurship space, and it was a pretty, for me, a really brave, bold move. Regular job and a standard setup, and I jumped into this company, which was founded by a guy uh, who was very unlike me, right? And his control in English was not so great, and the product that he was doing was very interesting, which is what got me into that company. Yeah. So we've always made pesticides which kill pests. Now an insect is a pest because we've now started growing something in large scale. So the insects always existed. Yeah. And so if you had, say, rice growing in small patches, that insect would have fed on that rice and no one would have bothered. But now suddenly start growing paddy in thousands of acres, and you want to feed people, and it's like a factory line. That same insect has now become a pest because it is now eating the paddy that you want. And the only way which has always worked has been a poison. You have to kill the thing, right? And if it is a poison to the insect, it's a poison to a human being. In the past, uh, communities have used more nature-derived uh, solutions. It could have been, a neem-based uh, powder or cow dung. If you hear the traditional wisdom still, but then as things got more efficient, we shifted to more technologically superior products, which were all inorganic compounds. Now, but for the last half a century, there has been a solution. It's not a complete solution, but I think works, which is you figure out what is your pest, and often these pests use what's called a pheromone. A pheromone is nothing but a scent molecule. Yeah. Uh, Insects give out pheromones, not just insects, actually, human beings also give out pheromones. It's just that we can't smell it anymore uh, for different purposes. But some insects, which are pests, give it out when they're ready to mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you mimic that pheromone and put it inside a trap along with a little bit of a poison. So this pheromone, so effectively what you're doing is you're attracting the male of the species and you kill it off. If the male is dead, there is no fertilization, there is no eggs laid. And if there are no eggs laid, there is no worm that you will find inside your fruit or vegetable.
That's
Which is why
genius.
now, huh?
That's genius.
Yeah, it's really intelligent. So you could have a bee buzzing around your fruit or your flower. The bee won't die, but you've got that specific pest which lays eggs. That thing won't. I mean, everyone will be alive. It's just the males are dead. There are lots of females in those fields. Uh, it's been there for a long while, right? But the reason it's not caught on is because you need patience. One, and two, a pheromone-based solution is not a answer for all kinds of pests.
Okay.
So we, the company's still around. They're still working to build on the business, uh, but it's been a huge challenge helping farmers understand that. Yeah, that a pheromone-based trap will solve the problem for one bunch of pests, not all. For the others, you still have to use some solution.
How
Now,
how receptive have been to this? How receptive have farmers been to this idea?
oh, well, it took some doing, but the most dramatic demos were the one which worked. So, for example, this this pheromone based pheromone is effectively a liquid, okay, and you would put it in droppers. You just need some 4 drops into a piece of plywood because the plywood would soak it up, and we had kept it inside this airtight pouch. So the most dramatic demo would be you open it up and just throw it on the ground, and when people say that there are no such pests here, the thing would attract hundreds of that pest immediately to it because that piece of wood now is like the most attractive female for miles. Yeah. Uh, but then when farmers saw that, it had a huge impact on them, and that's how we slowly converted folks in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, parts of Maharashtra to using it. But the company is still a long way from doing what the potential of pheromones are. So, for example, uh, there is a pest. So you must be aware of the insect which is attacking BT cotton. So,
Yeah, I've
are
heard
you
of
aware
it.
of the story there?
Not really.
So India's cotton boom happened because there used to be this little pest called the bollworm, and which is ravaging Indian cotton fields. And then Monsanto came out with this cotton breed which was resistant to this bollworm. So people happily used it, and India's productivity shot up, went through the roof. But over time, the bollworm has mutated, and now the bollworm is resistant to the pesticide, that particular kind of seed. Number one, and number two, uh, the usual pest used to be this bollworm. Now that's not a pest anymore, but some other species now become a pest. So what has happened is India. So a couple of years ago, Punjab, which sows a lot of cotton, uh, most of the fields got devastated because of this, what's called the pink bollworm, and there is no solution to it. At least there's no chemical which solves it. So there were riots. Uh, People lost their lives. Uh, there were Bathinda and some other places were shut down. So you can read up the news on it. It was all because a particular pesticide which I think Bayer gave, and that thing didn't work, and a lot of fields were wasted. Now there is a pheromone-based solution for it. It's still in the development, and I hope this company comes up with it soon. Uh, but yeah, but the insect will never get immune to it. It's like saying, I will stop getting attracted to women. So as long as the male is a male, it'll always go towards the insect, I mean, towards the trap, and it'll always die not because of the pheromone, but because of the poison. Yes, there is a huge opportunity. It just needs a lot of effort and time.
This is interesting. This is very interesting.
Yeah, there are more such insect stories for later.
Okay.